Okay, so this is going to be Daily Akari number 161, and it is from June 15th, 2025. So this was an interesting puzzle, so I thought I would just give an overview on how I solved this. So let's get into it. So right away you can cross off a lot of these ones. Okay. So there's a very interesting configuration on the bottom of this puzzle here. So you see that there are 5 tiles that you need to light up, like here. And then you also have these 4 tiles you also need to light up. But the problem with the bottom ones is that you can only place a bulb, you can only light them up by placing a bulb in any of these empty 5 tiles. So you can only place one here, 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 and then here. And you cannot have more than one on this row. So which means that if you place a bulb in any of these 5 locations, you still need to light up the other columns. So for example, if you place one here, you need to light up this, this, and that. So what needs to happen is that you need to have the bulbs coming from above, shining down. So for example, you need to have one like here, or like here, here, and there. And then you have the bulbs coming down from above to light up the remaining columns. And then, for example, like if you have one here, then you need to have one there to light up this one. So what this tells us is that we need to have 4 columns here that come from above, the top half of the puzzle, and then the last remaining column can be lit up by placing a bulb in the bottom row. What this tells us is that we cannot have all 5 columns lit up at the same time from the top half of the puzzle, because then you will not be able to light up these 4 tiles. So we're going to use that to our advantage, and we're going to use that later on in the puzzle. We'll be able to rule out quite a bit of stuff with knowing that information. Okay, so the first one I looked at was this one. The reason for that is because we have some tiles that we kind of already crossed off, and there's a limited number of cases where you can light up this one, this specific tile, so you can only place one here or there. So I thought that maybe in this configuration, maybe we can rule out some stuff here, and turns out we can. And so if you place a bulb here, what ends up happening is that you can rule off these 2. But now, if in order to light up this specific tile, you need to place a bulb here. And what that creates is you're creating a light here and a light there, so you cannot light up this one. So you cannot have a bulb on this side. And then similarly for the other side, it's just mirrored. If you place a bulb here, you cannot light up this one, so it has to end up this one, and then you cannot light up that one. So you can just place one right there. So the next one I looked at was this one. I was actually able to rule out this one, because if you place a bulb here, kind of similarly to what happened here, if you place one here, then you cannot have any of these guys, but you still need to light up this one. But there's like no way to light up that tile, so we can safely rule this one out. And then there's a very similar configuration on this side as well. So if you place one here, it's pretty much just mirrored, so if you can rule off those ones. But here now, in order to light up these 2 tiles, you need to have one here and then there. That's the only way to light up these 2. But now they're on the same column, so that cannot happen. So you can rule off that one. And then if you have one here, it's a very similar thing. So you need to, in order to light up these 2, you need to have 2 here. But now they're on the same column, so they cannot happen. So you can safely rule out that one. And then so the only way to light up that one is through that way. So the next one I looked at was this 2 tile. So I think I figured out that you cannot place the bulbs in this configuration, because if you do, you will not be able to light up this one, because you have the light source coming this way, and then you cannot place one here, and you cannot place one here. So what ends up happening is you can rule that one out, and then you can also rule out this one, and I'll tell you why. So what happens here is, if you place one here, you're gonna have this filled with light, and then you cannot, this will be filled with light. And what happens here is you're gonna have these 4 tiles that you need to light up. But the problem is that you cannot have, if you place one here, you cannot have both of these guys lit up like this, because it will violate this 1 tile here. So you need to have one on this column, like so, or like something like this. So what ends up happening is if you place one here, you know that for sure that this column will be lit up from the top of the board. So let's say, like, for example, like this. So it ends up lighting here, and then if you place one like this, it ends up lighting like this. And then now once you place a bulb here, you need to place one here, because you need to light up that one. And then you need to light up this one, so you need to place one here. And if you place one here, you're gonna have this entire column lit up. But now you have the exact same thing on the other side, just mirrored. So in order to light up these 2 tiles, you need to have one in this column as well. Because if you place 2 here like this, it will violate this 1 tile. So you need to have this configuration or that configuration. Or whichever way, like, you need to have this column lit up from top of the board. But the problem is that we already figured out that we cannot do that, because we need to have 1 bulb coming from down below and then 4 coming from the top. Since now we have 5 coming from the top, that cannot happen. So we can safely rule this one out. And then since we ruled this case out, we can just light up that one. And in order to light up this one, you can just light up that one. And then you can just cross that one out. And yeah, so I think this is this is the part of the puzzle where I started looking at these columns here, and use the fact that I cannot light up all these columns from the top of the board, because you need to have one down there. So what I did was I theoretically placed a bulb like in these areas, so it will shine up above. And what happens here in this column is that if you have any bulb coming from down below, like in this area, and you can actually include this one too. If you place one here, so none of these can be bulbs, right? So you have to place one here, and then now you cannot place one here, because this one is lit up, and you cannot place one here, and you cannot place one here either. So what ends up happening is you can rule this entire column out. Alright, so now moving along with the second column. So if you place a bulb here, what ends up happening is that you need to place one here as well, because you need to light up that one. And you need to light up this one, so you need to place one here. And now, so we have the same case as before, right? So if you have this case, then in order to light up both of these, you have to either have that or like this. And either way, you're gonna have this column lit up from the top half of the board, which means that now we will not be able to light up these 4. So we can safely rule these 3 out. Like so. And then similarly with this column, you can rule these 3 tiles out, because if you place one here, like in any of these 3 tiles, you're gonna have to place a bulb here, and you're gonna have to place a bulb there because you need to light up these ones. And then now it's pretty much the same logic of before. You need to have a column here, and you need to have a column there. So we can just safely rule that one out. Like so. And you can also rule out these ones as well, because if you place one here, you need to have a column on this side lit up, and then you're gonna have to have this column lit up, and you're gonna have this column lit up. So we can rule that one out. So the same thing on the last column. If you place a bulb here in any of these three tiles, we need to light up this tile and that tile, but we cannot light them up by having them like so, because it'll violate this one. So we know that this column will also have a bulb, like in either of this, in this spot or that spot. So that means we have to place one there, and we have to place one there. So we will not be able to light up these four. So we can safely rule these three out. And now it gets interesting because there are actually some tiles that you can only light them up from one tile, which is this one. Because since we've already ruled this row out, and then there's nothing else on this column, so you have to place one there. And then here, in order to light up this one, you can only place a bulb there. And the same with this one. So after doing that, the puzzle should pretty much be solved at this point, because we can rule off quite a bit more stuff. And then here you see that you can only light up this one from here, and then you can place one here. And then now in order to light up this one, you have to place one here because there's no more spaces left in this column. So we know that in the bottom row, this is the position, this is the bulb that needs to be placed. And here you can only light up from this part, and then here you can only light up from this part, and then that, and then this one, that, and that. Yeah. So yeah, that should be it.